I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome back to the video podcast. For those who are tuning in for the first time, I'm Patricia. And for our regular fans, it's so great to have you coming back to us all the time. The Executive Encore podcast and the YouTube playlist is a series dedicated to inspiring women to forge their own paths as they embrace longevity. We're living much longer now, which is a great thing. But what do we do with that little gap at the end of our careers, perhaps, or continuing our careers? So many of my followers have been asking me, what's next? And what do they have to look forward to when they approach the crossroads that signals a transition? In today's episode, I'm happy to welcome Anne Donovan, founder of principal consultant of Donovan HR Solutions. In her inspiring journey, Anne made the leap from a corporate desk, as she calls it, to entrepreneurship, and she has never looked back. As she works with clients to increase employee retention, she also shares her own story of taking the courageous step into her own business, and has created high-performing teams by leading with the people-first philosophy. And she is passionate about growing and supporting people so that they realize their full potential. She states that she thrives by helping other people and businesses thrive. Please join Anne and me as we follow her inspiring journey as she embraces courage in creating her Executive Encore career. Hello, Anne. Let's get going on this conversation. It's going to be fun.
Hello, Patricia. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I've been looking forward to it for a long time. So thank you.
I have too. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to start off, and please share this philosophy that you have of people first and how it continues to serve you in your Encore career as an entrepreneur.
For me, people first philosophy is looking at the whole human. And I spent 20 plus years in corporate human resources. And so often we think of human resources as robots. We're policy driven. We follow the handbook. Everything is black and white. But there's a key word in that: human resources. And so by leading with and looking at the people first, leading with the people first philosophy, it's not everything is black and white. We need to realize that people do come to work as their whole selves. They have children's needs that they need to meet. They have parents' needs that they're caring for now. They may not be able to show up 100% every single day, and we need to realize that. And with that, we can play to their strengths. So by realizing that we're humans when we come to work, and everything's not black and white. So if somebody is 5 minutes late, we don't have to write them up. We can listen to them that their kid's bus was late, and let's give them grace for that. So knowing that people are showing up to work and people come first, and that has led me into what I do now with talking to small businesses about their employees, and that, the whole employee is showing up, not just one aspect of them.
So you have come through HR in your career, and so you've probably seen where processes have been very important. Policies, of course, are very important, but you, along that, your wisdom now is that it's look at the people. So it's actually about having policies and procedures that help people to do their job well, right?
Yes.
It's not about controlling, but it is guiding them somewhat, because we have to have some guidance so that the business meets their objectives. But I love what you said about giving people grace, because I think before the pandemic, was not much of that going on. And I think in the beginning of the pandemic, there were big questions about what does that look like? I don't think many people really looked at it as being gracious and giving people grace. It was still very manipulative. And how do we get people? And we see now we're trying to get people to come back to the workplace, right? So
Mhm.
I got off on a little bit of a tangent there. I wanted to acknowledge you for using words like grace, because we definitely do. I remember in my younger career, if my son was ill, doesn't matter. You got to get there on time. In fact, I had one corporate position where I had to be there at least half an hour before starting time.
Oh.
And actually, they watched you from the window to watch when you were coming into the building. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that actually was the corporate position that launched my entrepreneurial career, because I thought I'm not going back to anything like that again.
Good
So,
for you.
could you share an example of when you needed to embrace courage, similar to I had to embrace courage back then as well, and ask for help when you were taking the big steps in your Encore career?
So it's for so long, I always thought I was going to be that middle manager behind the desk forever. My big goal was to earn my 3% increase every year, and that's how I define success.
Mm,
And one one period in my career, I was at home recovering from surgery. So I was off of screens. I wasn't in contact with work. And that's when I just had this aha moment that I can go out on my own. I can share my message with a much broader audience. And, but I was scared. And taking such a big leap is not for the faint-hearted. And so I then reached out to many women that had inspired me. They were entrepreneurs themselves. They had gone through this journey. They'd been at the starting point and they took that leap. And so talking to them and really leaning into my network was where I found the courage. They were
mm,
supportive, they were kind, they were encouraging. They said, I made this mistake, don't you make it? Or I learned that I had to fail and that's okay. So really leaning into the people that I've known that took the same leap years before really
mm.
helped me to find that courage.
And again, that word, that whole word of being human, what do you mean when you specify the courage to be human? Could you give us an example of that, perhaps?
It's realizing that we all feel a gamut of emotions and each emotion is valid. My own story started with realizing that I was limiting my own self and I was eating up those limiting beliefs. Gonna love it, imposter syndrome.
Mm,
That was me. That yes, others can do it, but I can't. And realizing that the goals that I was setting was limiting to me. So
oh,
realizing that thousands, millions before me had gone through all of this, they were a success and they could do it. So talking to these supportive, encouraging women kind of like threw off the shroud of that and helped me to realize I can set huge goals, not just a 3% increase.
yeah, I was going to ask
I,
you about that. Not just a 3%. Isn't it interesting how corporate goals can actually limit you as well? So there's another reason for perhaps being your own entrepreneur, right? You don't have to go by those rigid goals that are set, that are
Mhm.
limiting you, limiting your potential. So I think that was great. And this comes at a very important time because it's the beginning of the year. And I don't know about you, but I've got it lined up where I'm giving presentations on goal setting. Same old for some people, right? And that's what I encourage them to do. And it's hard for them to understand that there's a difference between dreams and goals and projects and tasks and things like that. But if they break it down, I think they
Yeah.
realize then some of these big dreams that they've got doesn't happen in a year, doesn't happen in 6 months. But if they have the plan and keep adjusting the plan as they go into different phases of their life, some of those big dreams come true.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so would you
100%.
say being an entrepreneur was your dream?
I didn't realize it until I had that time away when I was unplugged from screens, unplugged from
Mhm,
work.
mm,
And I thought about it years before. I actually took a stab at it and did everything wrong
Mhm.
and thought, okay, this isn't for me. But unplugging from everything really helped me to clarify that I
Yeah,
can do this and I do have something to say and I want to share it with other people.
that's good. You have something to share. That's so important. And how
Mhm.
long was this the escape from everything? How long were you in this time of thinking about what your next step was going to be?
It was 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. So we wanted to go on a 2 weeks solo retreat.
Yeah.
The same amount of time to be, first of all, to dream about our lives, right? Like, how can it be different? Maybe get some mental pictures, maybe using our creative outlet as, I don't know, writing, coloring, whatever, to think about what our life could look like, right? Um,
Mhm.
Tell us about the effect and the power of sharing your story about taking that courageous step when you now share it with other people in businesses and when you're working with your clients to increase employee retention. But of course, that's all about career progression as well, right?
Yeah.
So, could you share how the effect of your story on them?
For telling my story, it starts with vulnerability. I need to be able to share, and I have to be okay with this is my story. It's not pretty. And there was a lot of murkiness that I went through.
Hmm.
But being okay with sharing it with others, hopefully, and to inspire them to reach out and fulfill their dreams and goals.
Hmm.
And the a couple weeks ago, I was giving a presentation, and I'll talk about anything. If you want to hear the really bad stuff, I'll tell you, because we've all gone through it. And so I was sharing something that I didn't know much about, and I wanted to learn more in front of a group of hundreds of women. And shortly thereafter, a woman sent me a video text. I'd never met her before. And she was, uh, to me, she was inspiring, but she just said, thank you, Anne, for sharing your story and getting up there and telling us that what you don't know. And for me, that was inspiring. I mean, here is this woman who we don't know each other, never met, and she's just reaching out and saying, thank you. And so I've taken her, what she's done, and done it so much with many other people and just celebrating each other.
Hmm.
And so telling my story and being okay with telling it is the first step.
Hmm. Yeah, because you really do have to trust yourself in telling that story, right? There's another part about that trust. You are now sharing it with other people and sharing your vulnerability. And each time you do that, you are actually validating who you are as a person and what you've achieved. So, kudos to her for sort of triggering that in you so that you can now continue to build your self trust in going out and doing more of the great work that you're doing, right?
Yes.
So that's an amazing encore of your career, which is great. And you've got a great foundation for it as well, because you've come through the HR as HR has transitioned over the years. So now you can help other people have a better experience as well. So that's great. So this is a great segue into every moment matters because we go through these different phases. Can you please share a pivotal moment when you recognized what fulfillment was like for you in life, your personal and professional life, and when you determined that you wanted to make every moment matter?
There have been a lot of pivotal moments, Patricia, but I have to say that the one was sitting on my couch, realizing if I did go out on my own and I started my own company, yes, it was terrifying, but I would have so much more time to do what I wanted to do. I was able to pick up gardening, which if somebody doesn't have a hobby, I highly recommend go finding a hobby because picking up gardening, learning a new skill, that helped build my confidence.
Oh.
I started writing which has been scary because I'm thinking, I'm not a writer. I can't write, but just putting pen to paper. And so when I handed in my resignation, that was the pivotal moment when I was fulfilled, realizing I would have more time to work on other areas of my
Oh,
life that fulfilled me.
oh my goodness. Because so many people dread that, either going in to resign or actually having the pink slip delivered to, or the package, hopefully. Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people, a lot of women are dreading that right now because they
Mhm.
don't know what the next thing that they're going to do, because they have dedicated their lives likely to their work, and their whole persona, their status and everything is all wrapped up in that work. And now they're a completely different person. And if they haven't developed hobbies, I actually had one person ask me, like, should I start thinking about this now? And I said, you should have started thinking about it when you were 45.
Yeah.
But because those 15, 20 years go by very quickly, and you need to have something that is fulfilling in your life, because it becomes very scary if you don't, when that
Mhm.
end does come, in whatever position you are, in a corporate, whatever, making that
Yeah,
leap. It does come, right?
it does. And it's
Yeah.
terrifying,
It is terrifying. Yeah. Yeah.
but we can do it.
Yes, yes. Okay. So, Anne, do you have some way that the audience can reach you so that they can benefit from the messages that you send out to people, and perhaps to talk to you about making presentations to them? How would they reach you?
I'm on LinkedIn
Mhm.
at Anne Donovan, SPHRSHRM-SCP. I know it's a lot. My website is donovanhrsolutions.com. You can send me a message there
Mhm.
and reach out. I love talking to people. I love learning other stories. And if we do support each other and celebrate each other, we can only be better from it all. So thank you,
Sure.
Patricia.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you. So I am going to put in the information into the show notes as well, so that people have your LinkedIn link, because I know there's a few other Anne Donovans, so, as they would be, right? So we want to make sure that people don't have to work too hard at finding you. We want them to find you very well. Is there anything else before I wrap up? Is there anything else that you'd like to share today?
We have covered a lot. And so I don't have anything else right now. So thank you.
Good. So this video will actually be in the newsletter this Sunday coming up. A heartfelt thank you to my incredible audience that watches me faithfully and reads my newsletter, and also to Anne's amazing followers who will follow her on this video. Many of my followers, again, have been asking about what's next and what can they look forward to after their career shifts. And as we live longer, we're more likely to explore alternative careers, and we need to make some bold career moves at times. So understanding career progression and embracing that courage, as Anne has spoken about today, to make those bold moves will have a bold effect on your happiness and finding your personal and professional fulfillment. This is where your Executive Encore begins. Join me live on a weekly basis or on replays as I dive into captivating conversations with inspiring women like Anne and other thought leaders. I often have men approach me about they would like to share their views on the Executive Encore as well. We'll explore the secrets to personal and professional fulfillment, and everything else that we can face with longer lifespans. No matter what your age or your gender or your perspective on well-being and fulfillment, I invite you to be a guest on my show. Let's connect and inspire each other, everyone. Let's inspire everyone. Visit my website at patriciamuir.com. Read the Encore weekly blog. You'll find that on my website /blog and on LinkedIn, and subscribe to my newsletter. I often refer to my guests' insights, such as Anne's today, in their ability to share, and our whole ability to share our wisdom with one another. It's crucial to navigating the chaos of unexpected detours that we have and stabilizing our life to focus on our fulfillment and self-actualization. Thank you and have a wonderful day today.